The well had always been there. At the far end of the village, behind the abandoned temple, it stood like an ancient relic, forgotten, ignored, and feared. No one used it, no one spoke of it. It was just there. Ravi had grown up hearing the stories. The elders said the well was cursed, that long ago, a woman had been thrown into it, her screams echoing through the village for days. They warned children never to go near it. But Ravi never believed in ghost stories. One evening, as he and his friends played near the temple, someone dared him to go and look inside. Laughing, he walked up to the moss-covered stones and peered down. The darkness inside was thick, endless. He picked up a pebble and tossed it in. No sound, not even a splash. As he turned to leave, he heard it. A whisper. "Come closer." He spun around, his heart hammering. The well was silent. His friends were already running back to the village, unaware. Shaking off the unease, he followed them. But that night, as he lay in bed, he couldn't forget the voice. And then, just as sleep was about to take him, he heard it again. "Come closer." The next evening, Ravi returned to the well. He told himself it was curiosity, not fear, that brought him back. He stood at the edge, listening. Nothing. Then, as if the well had been waiting, a sound drifted up. Soft, broken sobs. A woman's voice whispering, "Help me." Ravi's breath caught in his throat. Was someone trapped down there? He hesitated, then grabbed the old rope tied to the side. Testing its strength, he began to descend. The deeper he went, the colder it became. The light from above faded, swallowed by the darkness. Then his feet touched solid ground. He fumbled for his phone, turning on the flashlight. The walls of the well were covered in strange symbols, old and faded, as if clawed into the stone. The air was damp, heavy with the scent of decay. Then he saw a woman stood at the far end of the well, her back turned to him. Her hair hung in wet, tangled strands, her white sari clinging to her thin frame. Ravi's voice shook. "Are you all right?" She didn't move. He stepped closer. "Miss?" The woman twitched. Then, with a sickening crack, her head twisted completely around, face pale, lips stretched into an unnatural grin. Her hollow eyes locked onto his. "You came." Ravi stumbled back, his breath coming in ragged gasps. The woman's grin widened, her body shuddering as if barely holding itself together. The whispers began again. Dozens of them. Murmuring from the walls, from the ground, from the darkness itself. Hands, rotting, skeletal hands, began to emerge from the stones, clawing toward him. He turned and lunged for the rope. His fingers closed around it and he climbed. Something grabbed his ankle. Ice-cold fingers pulling, dragging him back. He kicked and thrashed, his heart pounding as nails scraped against his skin. Then a voice. A deep, commanding voice from above. "Let him go." Suddenly the grip loosened. The whispers stopped. Ravi scrambled up, pulling himself over the edge. He collapsed onto the ground, gasping. An old man stood there, Pandit Ji, the village priest. His face was grave. "I warned you all," he murmured. "You should not have gone near it." Ravi could barely speak. What was that? The priest looked at the well, his eyes full of something between fear and pity. "Not what? Who?" He took a deep breath. "That well is a prison. It holds something ancient, something that should never be set free." Ravi looked back at the darkness within the well, and for a moment he thought he saw movement, something shifting, waiting. The priest muttered a prayer, scattering sacred ash into the air. "Go home, boy, and never return." Ravi didn't need to be told twice. But that night, as he lay in bed, something cold brushed against his ankle, and in the silence, just beneath his breath, he heard it. "Come closer."